Good afternoon. My name is Constable Trevor McKenna, and I'd like to welcome you to Hamilton Police Service as we provide an update on a recent shooting death that occurred in Hamilton. At this time, I'd like to call Detective Staff Sergeant Michael Ebert to the podium.
Thank you. Hamilton Police continue to investigate the circumstances surrounding a homicide that claimed the life of 19-year-old Talon Williams Parkin. On April 30th, 2026, at approximately 6:30 p.m., officers responded to reports of a shooting at a residential building at 191 Main Street West. Upon arrival, they located Williams Parkin, suffering from gunshot wounds. He was transported to hospital, where he later died of his injuries. Investigators believe an exchange of gunfire occurred inside the unit within the building. During the incident, the victim was struck, and evidence suggests the suspect may also have been injured. Shortly afterwards, police received a report of an injured person in the area, but at this time, it has not been confirmed whether this call is connected to this incident. Police have identified two suspects in connection with the shooting, and those suspects are described as follows. Suspect 1 is a male, black, short, with long dreads and a fat face. The second suspect is identified as a male, black, tall, thin, with dreads and wearing a blue face mask. Talon's family is mourning this heartbreaking loss, and we're asking anyone with information to come forward. This investigation remains in its early stages and is ongoing. Anyone with information is asked to contact Detective Dan Harris at 905-546-4067, and anonymous tips can be provided through Crime Stoppers. I'd be happy to take a few questions.
Did the victim live in this high-rise, or was he visiting? Why was he at this location?
At this time, I believe he was visiting.
What floor of the building was he on?
At this point, I'm not prepared to discuss the specific location.
Has the gun been recovered?
Again, it's in the early stages of the investigation, and we're still working to fully investigate the scene.
How many people were in this unit when these shots were fired?
We know that there was at least 3, but beyond that, we're still working on that part of the investigation.
You're not willing to identify the specific floor. I know it's a city housing building, but some of the building is more seniors, and there's also Wesley Youth Housing. Can you say whether it was in a youth housing floor or a seniors housing floor?
I can't at this point.
How many shots were fired within this unit if 2 guns were used?
There was multiple shots, but again, we're still working in the early stages of the investigation to get information such as that.
Is there damage to any other units?
No.
Is this shooting related to the shooting in Jackson Square Mall?
At this point, there's no evidence to suggest that they're connected in any way.
Did the suspects use a car to get away? Any evidence on that?
I don't have any information about that at this point.
And you believe that one of the suspects may have been wounded, so there must have been blood at the scene, not belonging to the victim?
There was evidence at the scene to suggest that one of the suspects may have been injured.
Do you know how the suspect escaped, or did they run down the stairwell? Did they take the elevator?
The information we have is that they fled on foot. The specifics I can't discuss at this time.
Do you know which of the 2 suspects, suspect 1 or suspect 2, you believe was the injured suspect?
Not yet, no.
Do you know are you believing that only one of the suspects was armed, or one of the suspects was a shooter?
At this point, I don't know how many people were armed. Again, I know there was an exchange of gunfire. We're still working to collect evidence relating to those circumstances.
Do you know what the suspects were doing in the building?
I don't know.
Are they also believed to be visitors and not residents?
I don't know at this time.
Detective, were there any security cameras in the building? Do you have any images, video, or still images?
So there are security cameras in the building, and there's security CCTV cameras in the area. We're still working to collect that video and piece together the circumstances before and after the shooting.
Is there anything more you can share about the victim? Who he was?
Again, at the early stages, we're still trying to figure out everything that we can about the victim.
Do you believe the victim and suspects were known to each other prior to this?
I believe that they were they had some knowledge of each other. I don't know. We believe it is targeted, but I don't know the depth of that relationship or that knowledge of each other.
I mean, this shooting did happen a couple blocks away from where Vigil was being held for the 16-year-old boy who was murdered at Jackson Mall a week ago. Can you just talk about, I know a lot of people are on edge right now and there's a lot of talk about public safety. Can you just talk about sort of the impacts, violence like this has?
Yeah, so right now I'm here to discuss the homicide and the specifics about the homicide. Questions like that, I'm not in a position to answer those right now.
Do you have any concerns about the prevalence of guns among youth in the city? Are you looking into where they are obtaining these guns?
So specifically in regards to this incident, obviously with people being in possession of firearms is concerning at any time. We're doing everything we can to identify and locate these suspects. But in terms of broader gun use, I'm not prepared to discuss that at this point.
Just coming back to a colleague's earlier question, you're not saying whether you've recovered a gun, is that correct?
Like I said, we're still working to collect evidence at the scene, and I'm not prepared to discuss whether a firearm has been located or not yet. We're still working at the scene.
Is there any evidence to suggest how badly wounded one of the suspects may be?
I know that there's evidence to suggest an injury, but I can't speak to how serious that might be. We've been taking steps to try and locate that individual as well.
You believe there are witnesses in the building who may have witnessed the incident and may be able to come forward?
So we have been speaking to witnesses. We have had cooperation from some members of the community, but we believe that there might be others that have information. We ask them to come forward as well.
When you say that there was an exchange of gunfire, do you believe that the victim was armed?
At this time, I don't know for sure. I just know that based on our investigation, we believe there was an exchange. We're still working at the scene to determine exactly what happened.
When you say multiple gunshots, are we talking, 3? Are we talking 10 or 12? Just for the.
Again, I don't have those specifics. We're working to get that evidence from the scene.
Was the victim known to police?
So whether the victim was known to police or not doesn't impact the fact that we're trying to find the people responsible for this. All I can say is that we've identified the victim and we're working to find the people responsible.
You mentioned that the suspects fled on foot. Is there any last known direction of travel or path, or because it was quite a large area initially that you guys had closed down?
Yeah. So I can say that we know that they fled on foot, and we were in the area trying to determine where exactly they went. So, thank you.
That'll conclude today's conference. Thank you for coming.